Welcome to the Deep Dive. This is where we take your sources, the things you're curious about, and really dig into them for you, your personal shortcut to understanding.
Exactly. We sift through it all so you get the core insights.
And today, we're focusing entirely on one specific tarot card, submitted by one of you, the Fool.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you might think, one card, how deep can that be?
Mm-hmm.
But stick with us. As we explore the material you sent, you'll see just how rich and, honestly, how varied the meanings are.
It really is quite something how one image can hold so much, shifting across different decks, different traditions. We've got some great sources here, foundational stuff, historical takes, occult perspectives. It'll give us a really rounded view.
Okay, great. So let's jump in with that first source, 78 Degrees of Wisdom. It kicks off with this idea of life as a kind of constant dance, and the Fool is right there embodying spontaneity.
Freedom.
Yeah, that's the core of it. The book suggests that we start with this inherent freedom, but, fears, conditioning. They cause what it calls a fall from that state.
A fall. Oh, but the Fool holds the key, the possibility of getting that freedom back, not by becoming naive again, but actually through maturity, through self-discovery.
Yeah.
It's a path towards what the source calls the greater freedom of the world card.
Interesting. So this fall, does that mean the Fool is somehow cut off from learning? How does it keep that freedom intact?
That's a really good point. It's not about being ignorant necessarily. It's more like not being weighed down by the negative side of experience. 78 Degrees of Wisdom draws a really interesting contrast with the High Priestess here.
Okay.
It describes the Fool as having this radiant center of nothingness, which sounds negative, but it means more like pure potential, no preconceptions. That allows for completely free action.
Right, like a blank slate almost.
Kind of. Whereas the High Priestess has this deep intuitive knowing, but it's more passive, more receptive. She holds wisdom and stillness. The Fool finds it in, moving forward in unfiltered experience.
That radiant center of nothingness. That's a powerful phrase. Like, its strength is in not being fixed. Okay, so let's shift gears slightly. Rachel Pollack's Tarot Wisdom positions the Fool differently, right? More like the main character of the Major Arcana.
Yes, that's a very common modern view. The Fool as the hero, embarking on this journey through all the other cards. It's a big shift from some older ideas where the Fool was maybe outside the sequence or even just, a fool.
So it wasn't always seen as the starting point.
Not always explicitly, no. But
Yeah.
Pollack and others really championed this idea of the Fool as zero, or the unnumbered card that kicks everything off. It reframes the whole thing. The Fool steps aren't random. They're the start of this big life journey. And that idea, the Fool's journey, you see it everywhere now.
Right, in stories, films. So if the Fool goes on this journey, meeting all the other archetypes, does that initial freedom get diluted? Does the Fool get shaped entirely by those encounters?
Does the journey change the Fool? I think the idea is that the openness remains, but it gets, let's say, informed by wisdom. Each encounter is a lesson. But the Fool retains that core ability to learn, to adapt, without losing that fundamental willingness to leap. That's the beauty of it.
Okay. Let's look back some older pictures, both Rachel Pollack's Tarot Wisdom and the Tarot. History, symbolism, and divination mention the Marseille Tarot, the Fool with the bundle, the dog. What do those images tell us?
Well, the Marseille Fool feels a bit more earthly, maybe even like a wanderer compared to later versions. The bundle suggests some possession, some ties, even if minimal.
And the dog.
The dog's interesting. Could be loyalty, instinct, or maybe it's society, anxieties sort of nipping at the Fool's heels, a reminder of the world the Fool is stepping away from, or maybe stepping into.
The Tarot. History, symbolism, and divination also points out some really interesting variations, like the Minchier deck having a Fool, and then Levi, Eliphas Levi, placing the Fool way differently.
Oh, yeah. Levi's placement is fascinating. He connects it with the Hebrew letter shin and puts it between judgment and the world. Not at the beginning at all.
Why there? What does that imply?
It suggests something more transformative. Like the Fool's energy, maybe this divine spark or unconditioned potential, is essential right before the final step of realization. Between assessing the past and achieving wholeness, it really shows how different systems integrated the cult's symbolism.
And that source contrasts Levi with the Golden Dawn and Rider-Waite-Smith decks, which mostly put the Fool first. Plus, 78 Degrees mentions Waite really liked Pamela Coleman Smith's version. What was special about her Fool?
Smith's Fool is often seen as much more optimistic, vibrant, the image stepping towards the cliff edge, looking up, almost joyful. It captures that sense of trust, of potential.
Right, less ambiguous than some older ones.
Exactly. It really resonated with the turn-of-the-century focus on personal growth, new beginnings. It cemented that modern feeling of hope associated with the card.
Okay, so let's talk symbolism again. Rachel Pollack's tarot wisdom really hammers home the spontaneity, the instinct, taking chances without, overthinking everything.
Mm.
Is there a wisdom in that impulsiveness?
I think the wisdom is in trusting the process, trusting life itself, not being frozen by fear or getting lost in endless what-ifs. The Fool represents being open, truly open, to whatever comes next. And sometimes that perspective, the one that seems like madness from the outside, is actually where the real breakthroughs happen.
Pollack also mentions this idea of not knowing ourselves, connecting to the Fool. What's the link there?
It suggests that under all our layers, our identities, our habits, there's something more fundamental, more open, like the Fool's potential. This not knowing isn't bad. It's the space to become, to change, without being stuck in who we think we are. The Fool just embodies that fluidity.
Now, thinking about how the Fool relates to other cards, Pollack brings up the reversed Hermit, a time not to be alone, kind of the opposite of the Fool setting out solo, but they're both linked to Hermes.
Right, it shows the dynamic nature of it all. Sometimes you need that Fool-like outward step, sometimes you need the Hermit's inward turn. The link to Hermes, the messenger, suggests both are valid paths to understanding, just different phases. Exploration and reflection.
And then there's that connection to the Tao Te Ching quote, "Do nothing, and nothing will be left undone." Seems like the Fool's motto.
Oh.
But then connecting it to temperance, temperance seems all about careful action.
It sounds opposite, doesn't it? But maybe it's about different kinds of effectiveness. The Fool acts effortlessly by being in the flow. Temperance acts through conscious balance, blending things perfectly.
Oh, okay. Different ways to achieve a kind of mastery.
Exactly. Both lead to alignment, just through different means. You could almost see the Fool's entire journey as leading towards that kind of tempered, integrated state.
So practically speaking, in a reading, what's the usual message when the Fool shows up? According to Pollack, anyway.
Usually, it's a big flag for new beginnings. Untapped potential, time for that leap of faith. It's encouraging you to step into the unknown, really, with trust and openness. Don't worry too much about the plan yet, just take the step.
And Pollack mentions a specific combo, the reversed magician with the Fool.
Yeah, that could suggest you're holding back. The magician is about using your skills, your will, taking action. Reversed, next to the Fool's call to jump. It might mean you're afraid to use your power, or maybe you don't trust yourself enough to take that risk the Fool is presenting.
So ultimately, Pollack frames the whole journey, starting with the Fool, as this path towards liberation, awakening.
Yes, precisely. It's not just wandering around. Every card the Fool encounters offers lessons, challenges. It's all contributing to the Fool figuring out who they are, understanding the world, and ultimately becoming more whole, more awake to their true self.
Wow. Okay, so wrapping this all together, the Fool is far from simple. It's this incredibly potent symbol. Innocence, yes, but also freedom. The sheer potential of a new start.
It's the protagonist, potentially, of this whole tarot journey.
It really captures both that raw, maybe naive beginning, and also the ultimate goal of the journey, finding that freedom, that self-knowledge.
It's so compelling, isn't it? How it holds both the starting point and the destination, in a way. It reminds you that sometimes the wisest thing is just to embrace not knowing, to step out with an open heart.
And hopefully, for you listening, exploring the Fool this way has sparked some of those aha moments. Getting a handle on this one card really does open up the whole tarot system, and maybe even how we look at our own lives.
Which leads to maybe a final thought for you to mull over. Thinking about the Fool. Where in your own life might you be standing right now on the edge of something new? Ready, perhaps, to take that first unburdened step into whatever comes next.